Good evening and welcome to Active Citizens Parliament. My name is Sharon Edem Chuku. Joining me live in the studio, I have with me my co-host Ifoma Oji. Good evening, how are you doing?
Good evening, Sharon. I'm doing great.
All right, now we're going straight to the two major stories that we have. First, the Court of Appeal has dismissed the suit filed by Nnamdi Kanu, alleging rights violation by the Director General of the DSS and the Attorney General of the Federation. The ruling marks another setback in his legal battles and raises fresh debate about the limits of security operations and the protection of citizens' rights. In our second story, the bishop overseeing the affected area in Niger State says there has been no contact yet with the kidnappers who abducted school children. The prolonged silence is deepening concern among families and falling frustration about the pace of rescue efforts ongoing. Now, we'll be discussing what these developments mean for justice, security operations, and public safety. Before we start, there is a trending video that I saw. It's about a young girl recounting her experience from the den of these captives. We'll take a look at that video and then we'll return to the studio.
What was your body? Because kidnapper. I cannot hear me. So you run. Then you want person from my like this. Give me five. Off my shoes. How much your mind they shake? Big.
Oh my God, also. Now wait see. Okay.
My brother see that, but you are never see. Don't reach our school then. Our guy in fire room.
Wait, what? Wait, so we can even see your shoe as a. Oh damn! Is that you? Wait, like.
I just think that video really captures how Nigerians are reacting to issues like banditry, or not Nigerians, some Nigerians are reacting to this particular issue. If you look at that video, we had a lot of people laughing in the background. First of all, Ifoma, do you find that funny?
It's not in any way funny. When I saw the video, I saw a child that is very young to witness such incident, and then watching the guy or listening to the guy laughing at the background.
There was more than one person in the background.
I was like, what rubbish. If you check comment section, you see a lot of people talking, commenting on the stupid laugh that I was getting from, they were hearing from the background. What is funny about that experience is how these people have gotten used to these insurgencies, is how these people have gotten used to these terrorist attacks and these banditry attacks. This is a child, for crying out loud. We're talking about the mental health of this particular child. Why are we normalizing something like this? It's as if it's a normal thing. Like, let me say, for example, when I was very young, I remember then we were being chased by masquerade. We'll come back and then we'll share our experiences and everybody will laugh. This is exactly like, this is what I feel like looking at this, but it's not the reality. This is a traumatic event. Now, the child mentioned that somebody actually dropped dead in her presence, and this is what somebody is laughing at. You couldn't even, okay, the lady survived, you're happy that she survived, but what happened to people that lost their life on the process of running? This is not something that we should be making fun of or making mockery of. This is people's lives, and it is so sad that we have normalized terrorist attacks in northern part of Nigeria. To be honest, it's very sad, and I think at this point all hands are pointing towards the government, because when the government have consistently failed the people that they are supposed to protect, this is what you have.
This is what you get.
Imagine a child of this age already aware, oh, this happens, so when this happens I need to run for my life, and I come back and I share my experience, and somebody that is supposed to be an elderly, that's supposed to try as much as possible to talk me out of that experience, he's busy laughing like it's a normal thing.
You know, I'm also going to make a quick comment on the reaction of not just those people in that video, but generally what we're seeing online, the fact that some Nigerians think that this banditry attack is a cruise worthy news, is something that they can make fun of. I understand the fact that, right, Nigerians have a culture of just making fun out of serious situations, but when we're talking about losing lives, the loss of lives, the loss of properties, what this means for people, the traumatic experience, what people have had to lose, that sense of losing that sense of safety, I think we have to have a line that will cross and be like, okay, now you're crossing the line. And I think that particular video is just a perfect example showing where we cross the line. So just generally to the general public, let us take serious issues seriously, especially when lives are lost in that particular discussion. Now we're moving over to the Court of Appeal. Just on November 20th, we saw the life imprisonment, the life sentencing to Nnamdi Kanu based off of the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government of Nigeria. Now, after that court, after that hearing, we saw Nnamdi Kanu go to the Court of Appeal, you know, to appeal for, he says, according to him, that the DSS, he was violated in the DSS, he was abused in DSS custody, and also he lacked adequate health care, and that his health was in jeopardy. And this was the case he brought against the DSS and the AGF as well to the Court of Appeal. Now, the Court of Appeal has come out to say that because is no longer in the DSS custody, but now in a correctional facility after the ruling of the November 20th hearing, and now because of that, you know, it holds no water, and they have struck that out of court. And this just looks as though this is an end, a sort of end to Nnamdi Kanu's legal battle. But do you think that there is something more that he can still do going forward, Ifoma?
Okay, before I make comment or answer this question you just asked, I just want to touch a bit on the particular topic we are discussing, which is the appeal. You've already kind of given a background of how the case was, the appeal was overruled. Now, what I actually find quite worrisome here is the fact that he raised a salient issue. He raised an issue that is supposed to be investigated. According to him, he said he was in DSS detention and his human rights were violated. That is something that should be investigated, and this is something that people are supposed to, you know, be punished or sanctioned for, you understand. But because of the fact that maybe he's no longer in DSS custody, because of the fact that he has been convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment, he's no longer in the custody of DSS, does not take away his right. You understand? It's, I think what I'm seeing here is the violation of his right that should have, even if the case is no longer in the hands of DSS or in the appeal court, it should still be investigated. That's why I find it worrisome. Okay. And then moving forward to the question you asked, I think there's still possibility. I don't think his lawyers are willing to relent or give up at this point, including Nnamdi Kanu and his supporters. You understand? But the thing there is that we don't really know if there is any other case that he will appeal on, but there might still be fresh cases that might arise while in custody or while in detention or in prison, while serving his prison service, that could actually warrant him to seek new appeals. So
we heard on that particular day when that sentencing was heard from Justice Omotosho, we saw that his legal counsel came to say that they were moving to the Court of Appeal to appeal that particular judgment. Now, this appeal that we're seeing is not for his life imprisonment judgment. No, we're seeing the treatment of Nnamdi Kanu while in DSS custody, the fact that he was denied even freedom of religion, I'm also seeing here, and also just inadequate attention to his health while in DSS detention as well. And people, we thought, right, that what we are going to see, a lot of people thought that would see the appeal for the entire judgment, the entire ruling on his case. So that was why I asked if you thought this was going to be the end. But moving forward as well, I still have, there are lots of people who are still questioning first of all, the extradition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya, the way and manner in which that was carried out, in which that was done, his treatment while in DSS, with the way the Court of Appeal just threw this case out of court. Do you think this sets a precedent or a solid foundation for the DSS and other state security services as well to continue in the manner that they did with Nnamdi Kanu?
They violate human rights. I think yes, it sets the precedent that they can actually violate people's rights and go scot-free, which it doesn't, for me, it doesn't look good at all. It doesn't set the right precedent. I believe when somebody's right according to the Constitution is being violated, there should be some level of punishment attached to it. So seeing this now, for me, it doesn't set the right precedent. Then coming back to what you said earlier, when you were talking, I started reasoning some things that weren't really cool. And I remember at the end of the sentencing, the life imprisonment, his lawyer said that people should keep calm, that they will definitely go for appeal. And that brings me to his kidnapping from Kenya. I think it was quite unlawful. I think that should be revisited. Why was he repatriated to Nigeria, kidnapped and brought back to Nigeria? Let me just put it that way. So that is quite sketchy on its own side. And then coming to the other part, I think his sentencing for me is quite somehow unlawful too, because there are a lot of people that have committed bigger crime that he had. Right. We saw the leader of the terrorist group in Nigeria, the alleged leader of terrorist group, sentenced to 20 years imprisonment. If you check these two cases now, you will see that it's more like undermining the credibility of the court, which is not supposed to be so. A court is supposed to be the last hope of the common man, I believe. So if you are trying a case and if you are passing judgment on a case, it should be equal to all. Nobody is supposed to be treated differently. People are supposed to be treated equally according to the law.
All right, it's still talking about that detention and the way and manner in which he was extradited from Kenya. And going forward, now we have seen the final judgment, November 20th, and even before then, we saw that Nnamdi Kanu wrote a letter to the Supreme Court demanding an answer to a question, which really is under which law is he being tried? That was the question that he asked, and people said that all of that was in a bid to push the November 20th final judgment even further. But we saw that that didn't work, and on November 20th he was given the life sentencing. But looking at how they came about that life sentencing, we saw from the federal government, right, that they were even pushing for a death penalty, and it was Justice Omotosho that reduced that to a life sentencing. So let's also talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that the federal government is really hell-bent on the Nnamdi Kanu's case, that they moved and pushed for death penalty.
You know, when we talked about that, I told you that at this point in time, this Nnamdi Kanu's case is no longer a case of a criminal. It's now a case of it's now a political case. So he is being held in detention politically for political optics. Now, I remember when he was sentenced, the first thing I said is, okay, I understand the fact that you have sentenced him to life imprisonment. The next chapter should actually be where the presidency grants him clemency. You understand? That is the next chapter we are seeing here, because it's more like everything is being scripted, even from the way he was, the judgment, the life, he was given the life sentencing. You could see that the judge was even reading it from a book, and it was as if it was something that was scripted. I don't know by who, but it was looking like something that was sketched and handed over to him. It wasn't looking like something that he wrote or his board wrote together. You know, when somebody is reading something that he or she wrote, he reads with confidence, but I wasn't seeing that his structure of words were not really coherent. It wasn't really making sense. I couldn't deduce exactly what he was trying to say. So I'm still talking on that. I think that particular case should still be revisited.
That's the Nnamdi Kanu's case, or the case of the way he was extradited from Kenya?
Both, everything. The sentencing, the way he was extradited. The sentencing
is final at this point.
I think they should still be appealed.
All right.
Because I mentioned earlier that people should be equal to the law. There are people that actually done more harm or committed more crime than what he did. So it should be equal.
Now let's also talk about the fact that the judiciary stance on this. We saw even before this ruling that Sowore came out to say, or to predict rather accurately, the outcome of that particular hearing, and he said it was either going to be a death penalty or a life imprisonment sentencing for Nnamdi Kanu. And finally, just barely hours after, we saw that it was a life imprisonment sentence for Nnamdi Kanu. But after that, we heard that he was being sent to the Sokoto prison. And, you know, lots of people came out to say things on social media and online that when you're being sent to a Sokoto prison, it means that's really the end for you. There is no coming out from there and all of that. He has already, you know, started his sentencing. But let's have, you know, your take on the fact that, or on the prison exactly that he was sent to.
Okay, I don't really have much information on the Sokoto prison, but if he's already serving his life imprisonment judgment, then I still think, to be honest, all hope is not still lost. I believe that they are not going to relent on this particular judgment. They will still, you know, seek more appeal. Maybe this particular one they raised up right now is more like the beginning of more appeals that we are going to see, you know, come through. So we are definitely going to see more appeals, because for me, the judgment doesn't cut it at all.
But if there are more appeals, we already saw how this particular case about the DSS handling Nnamdi Kanu was thrown out of court. Do you think that when there are more appeals in the Court of Appeal, there would be different hearings or different ruling?
I can only hope that it will be different, you know, next time. But at the same time, we already know the justice system in Nigeria. Every time I talk about how corrupt it is, how unjust it is, and how biased it is. So if we should remove these three things that I mentioned right now, then we could actually see more positivity coming out of the case. But if it's still the same thing that we are seeing in Nigeria, I tell you, there is no hope.
And a lot of people have also come out to say that the Nnamdi Kanu's case is only a pawn in the game that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is playing against his 2027 rerun presidential election in 2027. And that there is a possibility that he would use Nnamdi Kanu to score political points by granting him clemency and pardoning Nnamdi Kanu. Now, this particular theory, this school of thought, has gathered a lot of you know, attention. People are buying into it, and I know you also have said the same thing. But my question now is, what happens if that is not the case?
If that is not the case, we are seeing what was it called? That should be Cubana chief priest. I think he took to social media one time and he was advising the presidency that if he doesn't pardon the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, that he's not going to get up to is it 10,000 votes or 2,000 votes from the southeast. And I measured it to the vote he got the other time in 2023 when election was conducted and when the results were declared. He had about, I think that should be over 1,000 votes. So it's not even close to the 10,000 votes that Cubana chief priest mentioned. But at the same time, I think that if he doesn't grant pardon to Nnamdi Kanu, I think that might actually stand. He might not even get up to maybe 500 or 200 votes, based on the fact that a lot of people from the southeast are in support of Nnamdi Kanu.
Now talking about getting votes from the southeast, let's take a look at the relationship between the southeastern governors and the presidency. We have seen defections from the Enugu state governor to APC. We were seeing the other day he visited Anambra State, where he visited Soludo, the governor of Anambra State, and other states as well in the southeast. There seems to be, even in Imo State as well, so there seems to be a relationship that the presidency has with the 5 southeastern governors. Now, with that existing relationship, and with Nnamdi Kanu now in prison, do you think that what you said earlier might change about the fact that he won't be able to get up to as much votes with Nnamdi Kanu still remaining in prison?
No, and I think this question you just asked right now boils down to the system we have in Niger. In Nigeria, had it been we have a credible, what's it called, INEC, we wouldn't actually be talking about this, because we know most definitely that a lot of people from the southeast are staunch supporters of Nnamdi Kanu, even though that people in the east, is not everybody supporting him, but I think that majority are supporting this particular movement of secession. Then as regards the governors of the southeast, we've seen mass defections from their party, which is PDP, to APC, which everybody is moving to the central power according to what they defended or in their defense. So, but at the same time, it is not how many governors do we have in the southeast, how many people hold political position in the southeast, how many are the youth and citizens living in the southeast. So if we have a working INEC, if we have a credible INEC, I think the votes of people living in the southeast should actually outweigh the governors. In the southeast. Or all right,
I think we're going to continue this conversation maybe tomorrow, but we need to touch on the fact now that we're hearing from the bishop in Niger State with the Niger State abduction, now that they are yet to get contact, get in touch with the bandits after the kidnapping that we saw in Niger State, seeing over 300 pupils, students and teachers being abducted, and this is just days after there's not been any call for ransom and all of that. And I just want to quickly bring to mind the fact that we're hearing from the spokesperson to the federal government saying that the bishop has not released the numbers and the names of people that were abducted in the Niger State to the security operatives, so that they have a number and they have the data. And Bayo Onanuga came out to say that he has been uncooperative with the security agencies, but now he has come out to say that they have not been in any contact. Let's get your thoughts on the two issues as well. You
could clearly see that Bayo Onanuga was lying, even when this particular topic made its way to the media or to the headlines. I remember telling you that it means that there is serious disconnect between the government and the people that it governs. You understand? Because these are people that are supposed to have first-hand information when it comes to cases like this. I remember the president deploying, is he the chief of security, to these locations. I think when it happened in Kebbi State, he asked the chief of security to relocate to Kebbi State. So we were supposed to see something like that happen in this particular state, but we didn't see anything like that. And when Bayo Onanuga made it to the media to talk about the fact that the school and the bishop refused complying with them or giving them the numbers of people that were kidnapped, I told you that was a blatant lie.
So you don't believe that that's true?
I don't actually believe that is true, because even that should be, is it a day later or is it that same day? The principal of the school came out to say that this is the number of people that were kidnapped. She gave a precise number, a particular number of students that were kidnapped, and staff that were equally kidnapped, and teachers that were kidnapped. So she was quite firm in what she was saying.
From this as well, right, before even the whole give us the names of the people that were abducted, because when you heard Bayo Onanuga in that interview, he was saying that it's still a speculation. That was the word he used. Since they don't know the names of these people that were abducted, and he said he doesn't know why they have refused to cooperate. There's something also that I noticed. Even before this, the Niger state government came out to say that he gave a clear warning that the schools in that particular area should be evacuated. Students should leave those schools and go home to their parents, as they got intel that they were going to be banditry attack in that area. Now, after that, he said the Niger state government came out to say that he didn't know why that particular St. Mary's school reopened, and academics went on as usual. That was what we saw before. We now saw the attack on the students and the school. So, you know, there has been, it seems as though the Niger state government and St. Mary's Catholic School, there really is no synergy with the attack, even before and after the attack has happened. Do you agree?
Yeah, something like that. This is the point where you have to now ask the police or the authorities to investigate in this particular matter, investigate the school in person, because you can't tell me that you were giving the order or directive to vacate students from school, or for students to go on what's it called? Is it vacation or
holiday?
Because of the terror in the state or in different states, and you still went on with your daily activities of students going to school. It's more like sketchy for me. It's looking as if maybe the authorities of the school are co-hosts to this terrorism or this bandit attack or this kidnapping. That is what you're going to ask. So I think at this point in time, they should to be called for questioning. They need to answer some questions. Exactly. The bishop, the principal of the school need to. That is if the directive was given in the first place. All
right. And even before now, we're going to track back to Kebbi State, where we saw that there was an order given to the military in that area to evacuate the premises, and just barely an hour after that, we saw the Kebbi schoolgirls being attacked, and now we're seeing in Niger State. But just quickly, let's move over to Abuja, where there was also a similar directive for schools in a certain area in Abuja to be closed down. But we saw the FCT minister and Nyesom Wike coming to renounce that, and also going as far as suspending the authority responsible for giving that particular claim. Still talking about the relationship right now when it concerns getting information, enforcing this information. Let's talk about the fact that the Niger state government had intel that there was going to be abductions or maybe attack in a particular area, and they asked for evacuation, but we didn't see security presence even before that happened. Do you find it suspicious?
Somehow it is quite suspicious that there was no presence of security personnel in ground or on ground before the attack happened. But at the same time, I think because of the fact that they have been given the directive to vacate the premises, maybe they weren't paying attention to that because of the fact that they've given the directive already. So security operatives were not deployed to those areas or those schools.
I get what you're saying, right? But could it it's also the situation with our security and the approach that they have towards these bandits. If you get an intel that they're about to attack a certain area and you have the intention of arresting or apprehending those bandits who want to do that, what would be your response? Is it just to evacuate the students there, or to prepare for engagement so that you can get these people even though they wanted to attack the area?
You just said it all. It is first of all, protect the children, secure their lives by evacuating them, and then you prepare for a combat, or prepare to engage the abductors. Because but what we have in Nigeria is not a case like that. We rather maybe allow the incident to happen, this abduction now, then we'll start running helter-skelter to see how we can negotiate negotiate with these terrorists to release the children. That is the this thing in Nigeria.
And since all of this release started happening, we've not seen any arrests, we've not seen any...
Exactly, that's what I'm now saying. Now they've released some students, they've released from Kebbi State, they've released from Kwara State, but up till today, we are yet to hear that so person have been arrested, their weapons have been confiscated. We see the same question that we're asking in Nigeria. Why is it that our security personnel, why is it that the government, to an extent, to a very large extent, are not at all accountable? To be honest, it's quite sad.
It is quite sad, to be honest, as well. Also, the fact that we've not heard, and also the military has not come out to give out any statement, public statement, as to how exactly they go about this non-kinetic approach that they've been applying in the rescue of these kids and people that have been abducted. Over the years, we've seen them use the non-kinetic approach, but we've had little to no result at all. And we're just still asking for accountability. Who gave the order in Kebbi State that the military be withdrawn before the attack? And secondly, with all the rescues that we've seen, how did they get the contact of these bandits? If you would not reveal that fact, saying that it's classified information, or at least to let Nigerians know, were there any arrests when this happened? Anyways, we'll continue having this conversation and bringing more updates as the days progress, but this is all we're going to have for this day and this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to my co-host for doing this with me. And if you're watching for the first time, this is Active Citizens Parliament. Feel at home. Subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us across all social media at Active Citizens as we bring you hot, trending political news. My name is Sharon Nnamdi, and I'm your host for the show. Till we see you next week, have a good weekend.